Today with James Cash from Superfast IT. James, great to have you on the call today. Really looking forward to learning more about your business. Introduce us to your business. Tell us a bit more about what you do.
James Cash, company Superfast IT. We help small business owners by taking IT off their plates so they can concentrate on running their business and growing it. And we've also got a specialism in cyber security so that we can help them meet their compliance requirements.
Fantastic. And what sort of clients do you work with, James?
So our typical client is probably an owner-managed businesses with 20 people, 20 IT users, and we work with around 80 of those across the Greater Birmingham and the Black Country. Obviously, we've got extremes of that, so probably the smallest might be like 5 to 10 users, and the biggest is about 250 people.
Great. Okay, thank you. So tell us then, what would you say makes you stand out from your competition?
So I think the two things really are our security expertise and also our speed of response. So we weren't always called Superfast IT. When I started the business 21 years ago, we were just called jamescash.co.uk. And we decided to rename about 10 years ago, and we did a big survey and we spoke to our clients, what are the things that you like about us, and why do you deal with us? And like the main two things that they said at the time was that we're so fast at responding to anything. If they can pick up the phone and we jump on the issue and get it resolved quickly. So it was at that point we changed our name to Superfast. I think the other thing that they said was that we're nice to deal with. But obviously, like since then, like the world's changed. There's a lot more cybersecurity threat out there. And kind of around 5 years ago, we decided to transition from just being IT support to becoming a cybersecurity specialist. And I've gone away and learned and become a certified information security manager, passed all those exams, and we really invested in the team and our services to make security like one of our main kind of strength.
Fantastic. Okay, so 21 years. 10 years under the current guise, current name. Where's the business going, James? What's your aspiration for the next sort of 5 years or so, or a bit longer or a bit shorter, entirely up to you?
So we obviously want to grow the business, but we kind of go for a managed growth. We aim for 15% year-on-year growth. We're about 20% last year, so we're ahead of our target. And we want to consistently add new clients on and to be able to help those. And we do actually limit the number of clients that we'll take on at any one time so that we're not impacting existing service.
Fantastic. So where are you looking to get to in the end then? Okay, 15% growth. What's the vision for the business?
Well, we've got 80 clients now, and we're aiming to get to 150. So.
Then what?
We'll keep going. I mean that we think probably 150 clients will be in the next 10 years, and maybe I'll look at kind of passing the business on to kind of the team here as a kind of management buyout, or kind of merging with other businesses. We're in a peer group with IT companies.
Yes,
around the UK, the people that do what we do in other areas of the country. So, we've talked around, possibility of linking up with some of those. So,
right,
a lot of options on the table.
Fantastic. So, what would you say your biggest learning has been since you've been a business owner?
Probably my biggest learning is never to stop learning. I'm kind of a big believer in continuous learning, and it's a message that I always kind of reinforce to my team that especially in the industry we're in, technology, it's always changing.
Yes.
We're kind of continue having to kind of look at what's happening and reinvent that aspects of the business, and because we're growing as well, we're always at a size of business that we've never run before. Now we've got 12 people. 10 years ago, we were probably like, you know, half as many people. It's a completely different animal. And so I'm having to keep learning, and also, you know, my team are having to keep learning as well.
So what have been the biggest learnings around that aspect then, James? Teams doubled in size over the past so many years. What have been your learnings around that from the point of view of managing recruitment, retention, team?
Well, I think in terms of employment, I think like we've got 12 people now. I think we've probably had like 35 people in total that have ever worked at Superfast over the 21-year period. So we have had good retention. You know, some people have gone on, have been here, they've done great, and they've been here for 7 years, and then you know, we've had people go to join the police or do different careers, and you know, and we're still in touch with all of those. So you know, we've got good relationships there. I think you know, we have made mistakes inevitably in recruitment as well. So I think probably the biggest learning is to be more diligent during to be diligent during the recruitment process, to make sure you've got the right person. But you know, if it isn't working out, then maybe, you know, to think about kind of like moving people out of the business. I think in the past we're too nice, and we give people like, you know, a second, a third, a fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh chance, and you know, 5 years later they've had 3 different jobs and they're still not performing. You know, we probably could have saved ourselves a lot of overhead in that time by being a bit more picky up front. You know, I think there's an old adage, isn't there, about hire slow and fire fast. It sounds harsh, but you know, there is some truth in that. And but you know, we've never had a problem recruiting, and you know, we have always been able to replace with better. So yeah.
Fantastic. I'm sure there'll be some people watching this who will identify with that. Certainly, especially the too nice part.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Really good point. Thank you. So what's been the biggest challenge that you've had to overcome in the time that you've been in business?
I think probably like learning about business. You know, when I at first had that, you know, entrepreneurial seizure and you know, as Michael Gerber said, was a technician and thought I'd start a business. I didn't know anything, and you know, I've had to kind of like learn about sales and marketing and operations and managing people, and you know, managing myself, and that, you know, all of that kind of stuff. So I think there's been a lot of challenges throughout the time.
Sure.
But yeah, I don't think there's nothing that, obviously, like COVID was a tricky time, but you know, we got through that unscathed, and I think we're quite fortunate in the business because you know, when we take on a client, we don't tend to lose them. You know, we've got clients that have been with us, you know, since we started, and you know, it's recurring revenue. So you know, when they do well, we do well. If they've had to kind of like downsize, then obviously it impacts us. But because we've got like a spread of clients across sectors, we've kind of been like insulated from any kind of like, you know, we're not having to go out and push sales to kind of meet payroll this month. You know, you know, we're quite, you know, we're financially stable, and we're a recurring revenue model business.
Right.
Quite fortunate there.
Fantastic. So if you were to wind back the clock and you had your time again, what would you do differently?
Well,
with the benefit of the knowledge you've got now.
Well, if I wind back the clock to 21 years ago, you know, how old would I be? I've been 20. I don't think myself back then would have been open to listening to me now, but you know, quite headstrong, you know, black, and you know, everything was either black or white, and but I was very like determined and driven. You know, I wanted to make something happen. But you know, I've been on a learning journey over that time. You know, I'd probably say to myself, learn to manage your mind, and don't get sucked into the emotion of things too much. All you can do is your best in whatever the situation is. Work hard to fulfill your potential, keep learning, and help others fulfill their potential as well.
Really good point. Yeah, I think that'd be great advice. Or great thing to do differently. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So don't want to assume that that's going to overlap with this question, James, but let's find out. What's the one piece of advice that you give to a business owner listening or watching this?
Well, related to kind of what we do in cybersecurity, there's a lot of kind of business owners out there that think, they've seen, news stories about companies being hacked, but they think that it won't happen to them because they're too small. So, they think, well, we're 20 people, business in Dudley or, wherever, who's going to be interested in us, and no one's going to target us because they won't even know about us. But it's not the case, because the attacks are random, and then once they have got access to something, they know that your data and your systems are valuable to you, and they use something called ransomware to kind of like lock you out of that. So don't bury your head in the sand with those things, and get some professional advice so that you can understand what the threats are, and you can take appropriate action and make sure you're protected. If you've worked like 20 years to build a business like I have, you don't want it kind of like wiped out by cyber criminals when you could have easily protected yourself.
Right. Really cool. Thank you. And we'll delve more into details of how people can do that in a second. What about one piece of advice you'd give from a business perspective? Because that's really great from your specialist perspective and really valuable. What about from just a business perspective, general business?
I think one thing that kind of like, obviously, like building a great culture is really important for a business. And always remember that one quote from Richard Branson. He said, "There's no secret to building a great culture. It's just treat people how you'd like to be treated yourself." And I think that's kind of something I always keep kind of like front and center to my mind. Is trying to like make a business that I'd like to be part of myself.
Yeah. Fantastic. Great advice. Thank you. So is there anything you'd like to add from the point of view of getting in touch with you? Obviously, all the website details and your contact details will be in the text underneath this video, so that people can get in touch with you if they need to look into any of this aspect. Anything else you'd like to add, James?
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to speak to any kind of business owner to help them kind of like understand what the risks are for them, and, to have like a 20-30 minute conversation around that. And we can also give them a free report about any like compromised passwords for their systems that might be out there for sale on the dark web.
Brilliant. That's great. Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing your insights. Great to have you on today, and I hope people take some great learnings from this conversation, and wish you every success in the business going forward. Thanks, James.
Thanks, Andy.